72 hours. That's right, 72 hours right now. That's where I am in my fast, 72 hours. If you've been joining me, you know how we do it. If you've been joining me on day 1, 2, 3, or you've done the entire total 72 hours, I am applauding you. My hat's off to you. We are right now in our review of fasting. How do we get into a fast? How do we prepare for a fast? How do we get through a fast? And then, of course, how do we break our fast? That's what we're going to be talking about here on this episode. Also, you get to see what I'm going to use to break my fast here, the first meal after 72 hours. We'll take a look at some of my numbers, my blood sugars, my monitors, my reports, and we're just going to have a good time as we continue working on our metabolism. Hey, if you're new to me, I'm Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. We're creating the life we've always wanted. That's right. And we are not allowing anything to prevent us from doing what we need to do. We're presenting our best selves, our best health, and our best plans for our lives. We're breaking free from those boundaries, right? We're breaking free. We're pushing through all of those things that are obstacles. If you are new, go ahead and put new in the comments, because I'd love to welcome you with a hand clap and some music. And let you know that I'm happy that you are here. If you have questions as we move throughout the episode, go ahead and drop those in the chat. And also put a Q in front of it so that I'll know that that is a question, and we'll pay particular attention to that. If you've been with us, you know how we do as we look at our monitors and look at my blood sugars. I've got a couple of things that we're going to take a look at to see what's with my blood sugars and what's been going on with my report since we started our fast. If you were with us yesterday, you saw that we were doing a few things in terms of our fasting, and you guys voted for me to do something, so we'll talk about that here in just a minute. But just so glad to be in this space. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at blood sugars. Let's take a look at blood sugars. And I recently, actually just about, let's see, what does it say? About 33 minutes ago, had to change my Freestyle Libre because it was misbehaving. It wasn't giving me numbers, and so I just changed that. But I do have my Dexcom G7 that we can take a look at. So let's go ahead and pull that up right now. And so here you'll see what my blood sugar is according to the Dexcom, and we're looking at this number right about there, that big number. 104 is where I am, and then down below, that is the graph that you'll see. And what I like about this is I can actually put my finger on that graph, and we can see what those numbers have been running. And you'll see we started out about 24 hours ago in the 98, the low upper 90s, low 100s. Okay, and then right down here, so that was last night. Low 100s, 101, 102, 116, 114. Right, so low 100s, 123, and then coming into this morning. And so right about here, where is it? Right about here is what I call the toothpaste effect, right? So right about 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, I get up, and of course I brush my teeth around that time, and then we see a spike in the blood sugar, and people say, well, why is there a spike there? And that's from the toothpaste. So we went from 10, let's see, what were we? Let's see, because I got up and I did an episode of our strength strategy and mindset, and right about here. And then you see it shot up to about 123, and then of course started coming down to where we are right now. My Freestyle Libre is still warming up, so about 31 minutes ago, so we got 31 minutes to go there, and we'll get to see what that is here in just a little while. But let's go ahead, and I want to get over to my my Keto Mojo and my Contour, which I have off to the side. And let's make sure I have all the right strips. I hope I do. Let's see, do I have a blue one? No, I don't have a blue one here, but we'll grab one in a minute. So here is my the strips for my blood sugar. I've got a Lancet. I've got a strip here for the Contour, and give me just a minute because I'm going to hop over and get one for the ketones. All right. And so here's my box. I'll get in there and let's grab these out. And of course I pull out the one. Okay, there we are. All right, so I'll grab that set, put these off to the side, and just tear one off. Okay, so let me give a strip for the contour. Just one, just one, just one. They're all trying to pop out of there. Get that into the contour. And what do you think my ketones are going to be, right? So we're 72 hours in. And let's open this one. And yeah, so after 72 hours, what do you think my ketones would be? Right? And so here's my Lancet. So I don't usually use the Lansing device, and you guys know that by now. I just get the Lancet, I open it up, I find a finger, and I'm going to use this one, which is the one I've been using recently. I normally use one of these two, but yeah. Let's go ahead and get that in, and ow, 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 ow. Okay, that better give me a good drop. Yep, there we are. A very brisk drop, actually. And let's get that one started. And then we need one more for the contour. And while that's happening, I'll put my blood sugar back up according to this guy. And you see, so 76, 78, and then of course, right there you see that the Dexcom says that I am 105. And I'm going to go ahead and take this strip out. I'm going to open this, and this is why I like to open it before, because with the drop of blood, sometimes it's a little awkward trying to get it out. Well, let's see. And then I don't want that drop to dry, right? All right, so here we go. I think we'll make it. Get that in, and then get that started. Okay. All right, so 76, 105 is what my what this guy says it was, and let's see what the ketones are showing up as. And the ketones are 1.1 ketones. And remember, for ketones that are less than 0.5 considered normal, 0.5 to 1.5 considered nutritional ketosis, and then above 1.5 is considered therapeutic ketosis. So right now I'm in that space in the nutritional ketosis section. Okay, and then let's take a look at what my blood sugars are on what they've been running over the course of the last several days. And you see there on the screen, so my average blood sugar is 122. I usually tell people I want their blood sugar to be between 100 and 120. Okay, and my glucose management indicator 6.2. That means if I were to get an A1C based on these numbers that I've been having over the last 2 weeks, it would be a 6.2. I can't call it an A1C because it's a calculated number, but that's where we are. And then my average, I'm in range 100% of the time. Now remember, this range can be a little confusing. Not confusing, but a little deceptive to people, because the range actually is 70 to 180. So that means, according to this device, you can actually be at a blood sugar of 180, way up here, and still be considered within the range. But we don't want blood sugars to be that high. Normal blood sugars are between 70 and 99. So any blood sugar above that actually is causing damage. So why do we give those parameters? We give those parameters because it's a safety issue. So if someone is on medication, for example, the medication doesn't know that you're at 70, which is normal, but the medication continues to cause the blood sugar to go down. So that's an issue there. And then the 180 simply is we need to pick another end, right? So we got the starting end at the beginning, or the low part. We got to pick another number to have people say, oh, I need to pay attention to that. But really, a normal blood sugar is between 70 and 99. That's what we're shooting for. The 100 to 120 that I tell people is a narrowing of that normal 70 to 180. So I say I want your blood sugars to be much closer. If you have blood sugars within that range, then your A1C is going to approximate about a 6.5, which is really what the treatment goal is for most diabetics. All right, and so if I take this and I look at my 90-day average, you'll see there that my 90-day average blood sugar is 112 with a glucose management indicator of 6.0. So that means then that my blood sugars over the last 2 weeks have been higher than my blood sugars the 10 weeks prior to that. Okay, for lots of reasons why that may be. Let's see. So let's take a look at actual blood sugars. If I look at these graphs, and so what we've been doing is we've been tracking. So right now I'm right here about 72 hours, not about, but 72 hours in. And let's take a look and see what's been going on with blood sugars throughout the course of the fast. So let's see. So 115, 100s, 117, 123, 106, 109. So basically staying in the between 90s and low 100s for this morning. Going back, look at those numbers, and so now we would have been 56 hours into the fast last night when we did our check-in. So 103 earlier in the day in the 90s, 100s, low 100s. And then right here again is what I call the toothpaste effect. Right there about 6-7 o'clock is when I get up and brush my teeth, and so we get a spike before those blood sugar starts coming back down. Into the day prior to that, right, 100s, low 100s, 94s, 120s, toothpaste effect right about there, and then into the night, right, so we were in the 100s, 90s, 80s. Actually, I think we were down in the 70s at one point. And then going back further, so we started the fast right in here. And let's take a look and see what happened following the last meal. If you were with us over the course of the week, the last several weeks, you saw that I do a check-in right at the time when I'm eating my last meal, and you got to see what that is. If you didn't see what that is, go ahead and watch that episode, Dwain Woode, MD Pop-Up Live. And so I ate right here. 108 was what my blood sugar is. And over the course of the next several hours, we went up to 120, 127, 132, 120s, 1-teens, right? And then started coming down into 100s and then pop up here to 130, right? So you see that food, the food I ate, really didn't have a significant effect on blood sugars. Right, so we started out at 108 and we climbed up to, I think, 130 was the highest I saw? Yeah, 137 was the highest that I saw. And then for the rest of the fast, we've kind of been hanging 100s, 1-teens. I think we got up to 130 at one point there. But really kind of staying relatively stable, right? So we did have some spikes in there, and I've got to find a different toothpaste because I think the toothpaste really is causing some issues with the numbers. But it is a thing, right? So it's not a problem. It's just that I noticed that as I go through that process. So what I want to do is I want to show you what I'm going to eat to break the fast. Let's go through that process here for just a minute. So if you remember, last night we went out to dinner. And so you guys voted on Monday or Tuesday, whenever that was, that I would maintain my fast through the dinner. One of the points I made in our check-in yesterday is that the decision to break a fast is not based on the food, it's not based on the feelings that come from the situation. We can't let that be the reason. If I break the fast, I have chosen to break the fast. If I don't break the fast, I've chosen not to break the fast. And it is a choice that I'm making. There's no judgment about it. There's no anxiety about it. There's no, oh, you bad person about it. When we do that, when we put those interpretations, those feelings on top of it, then it becomes a more challenging issue. So the issue for me was not a friction of should I eat, should I not eat? Oh, there's going to be food, people around me, they're going to be, right? So the issue for me was, did I want to break the fast or not? Simply that. And we chose, with your help, we chose that we were not going to break the fast. And in fact, when I got there, a couple of things before that. So I was leaving work last night, and I was talking to my team, and I said that, I was not going to be eating. And one of the team members said, oh, that's going to be awkward. Right? And so we put interpretations on the situation. Because remember, nothing that happens really has meaning or has an effect on us until we attach meaning to it. So if I had said, yeah, this is awkward, then that feeling, that meaning that I've attached would have pushed me in a direction that I didn't want to go. And so for me, it was simply a matter of, okay, did I want to fast or not? And I was I think at 53 hours into the fast. I did the fast. I continued the fast, actually, mostly because of this space. Right? Because I wanted you guys to see that it is possible to go somewhere and not eat. And you guys voted that's what you wanted me to do. So yeah. Now, if you had voted the other way, I would have been fine with that as well. And so anyway, we got there, and so everybody's ordering, and so the attendant came over and said, hey, what are you gonna have? And I said, yeah, I'll have such and such, and I'll take it to go. And nobody said anything about that. Okay. It wasn't until I think he thought that I wanted just the main course to go, and so he brought the salad and placed it. I said, well, I'll take that to go as well. And then someone says, oh, you're not eating? I said, no. And one of the other guys who actually is in our office often said, oh, you're fasting? And I said, yeah. Simply, that's it. Right? Not with trying to explain, not trying to get into it. Someone else asked about the fasting, and so we ended up talking a bit about fasting and actually talking about you as a community and how we had voted and the whole thing. So it became a part of the conversation, but it was not intended that was going to be an enigma. It wasn't going to be this strange, weird thing that this guy over there is doing. It's just, I wasn't eating. And we had a great conversation. I was very, very pleased. And so what I did was I brought home what I was going to eat last night, and that's actually what I'm going to eat here to end my fast. So I'm going to bring it up. And I modified it a little bit because last week one of our community members recommended a salad. And I love the salad so much, her idea, that I actually recreated the salad with some tweaks. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at what it is that I am going to have. So first of all, here's the salad. And so the salad, what she recommended was cucumber and tomato salad with mixed nuts, and there's a specific dressing that she likes, and so that is the dressing that's on it. What I've done is I've added some cheese in there, and under here you can't see the salad that they brought to me last night was a grilled romaine lettuce wedge with, I don't think it was blue cheese. But anyway, so it's under there. I had to cut a part of it off because, of course, it was, it's a salad from overnight. So, but I was going to eat it. So, and then here is a ribeye. So ribeye with some broccoli. I don't know if it's broccolini or broccoli. What I didn't realize is that they had some kind of gravy on top of it. So I should have had them take it off, but they didn't. And that's what I'm going to eat here to end the fast. Now, let's talk about this. And I want to talk about this now because it is a part of our conversation. And I thought we'll do this at the beginning. Usually I do the eating and the breaking the fast at the end of the discussion, but I'm going to have it here at the beginning. But before I do that, let's go ahead and let's set the tone for what we're doing, why we are doing what we're doing. Because that really is a very important point. And let me do one thing here really quickly. Very important point why we're doing the things that we're doing. All right. And so what we're doing is we are working on metabolism. You guys hear that phrase? I say the phrase all the time. Dysregulated metabolism is the problem. Dysregulated metabolism is what leads to chronic disease. And so in our space, in our walk, what we are really trying to do is talk about dysregulated metabolism. Now that encompasses so many things that cover many of the diseases that people struggle from. Diabetes, obesity, pre-diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, fatty liver, polycystic ovarian syndrome, some cancers. Even now we're talking about type 3 diabetes, which is those neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's, memory loss, and not memory loss, but dementia. So all of that can be couched under diabetes, under metabolism. And so if we could figure out a way to right the metabolism, get it better, then we inhibit, we prevent, we reverse all of those disease processes. Make sense? So as we're walking through the process of doing that, what we're talking about is how or what's the blueprint for that. And as part of that blueprint, we've included fasting. Fasting is a powerful manipulator of our body. It regulates, it resets, it cleans out the body. And so how do we fast properly? How do we fast successfully is the conversation that we're having here today. I'm going to jump to the end of that conversation because right now you see I've got some food that we're going to eat here, and I want you to see what happens to my blood sugar as I do this. So when we talk about food, and let's walk through what I have right now on my plate. And so I have a salad that has cheese, it has nuts, mixed nuts, it has, that's a salad, it has lettuce, it has cucumbers, it has cheese, it has nuts, and of course it has some dressing on it. Now the reason that I eat salad, and most of the time, if you're talking to me about fasting, about what I do in my normal day, because I do a 1 meal a day, usually, and that's not hard and fast. There are times when I eat 2 meals a day. There are times when I eat with the family and we eat 3 meals a day. It is what it is, right? But when I'm eating, I try to eat salad because the salad gives me a couple of things. Number one, the salad gives me bulk. What does that mean? A big part of our hunger drive and the desire to eat comes from the fact that one of the hormones, ghrelin, is elevated when we are hungry. When we haven't eaten for a while, then the ghrelin goes up. And ghrelin is directly influenced by the stretch of your stomach. So when you eat something and you're packed, like on Thanksgiving Day, and you're like, oh my God, I can't sit up anymore, right? Really stretched, then that signal is going to the brain that says, don't eat, no more. We don't need anymore. So ghrelin level is low. When we stop eating now, the level of ghrelin goes down because the stomach is starting to contract. And as it contracts, then the signal gets higher and higher and higher. That's why we've come to associate growling stomachs with being hungry. Because we're like, okay, there's nothing in there, I got to put something in. And that has to do with this idea that as the stomach stretches, then the signal to eat goes down. And as the stomach gets empty, then the signal to eat goes up. And so for me, I want to put some stuff in that gives me stretch, gives me dilation of the stomach. And the thing that I usually eat is a salad because it gives me that bulk. It gives me the stretch. The other thing it gives me fiber. And as you know, fiber helps to blunt the absorption of carbohydrates. So when I'm eating a salad, what I'm getting ready to eat after the salad, if there are carbs in it, then my body doesn't absorb as much. Think of fiber in the body kind of like a sieve, like a strainer. And what it does, it doesn't allow all the sugar, all the carbs to pass through and get into your body. It attaches to it and it really kind of pulls it through the body or through the GI tract without it coming into the bloodstream. The other thing I'm getting there is I'm also, depending on the salad I'm eating, I'm also getting fluids, I'm getting vitamins, I'm getting minerals. So all of those are coming from the salad. So that's the reason why you will usually see me have some salad of some kind when I'm eating. When I'm ending my fast, like now, or the last meal prior to the fast, because that helps me there as well. So that's what I have. That's what I have here, and that gives me the bulk. It gives me the fiber and so forth. The nuts that are on this, I love this idea, and I love. And this was Pam who recommended this, one of our community members, and I love the idea because I actually really, I use like sunflower seeds. Sometimes we'll put toasted almonds on it. But the idea of getting like a handful of mixed nuts and just dropping it on top of the salad, that gives me fiber. It gives me protein, right? Healthy fats. All of that is right here. So when we talk about balanced bites, remember this idea of balanced bites that we talk about? Balanced bite has to do with how we eat, the things we eat, the thought process that goes into our eating the food. And it is important because it is the idea that we should have, or the way we should be thinking about food whenever we're thinking about food. So whole foods, minimize processed foods, no added sugar, lean protein, healthy fats, starchy, non-starchy vegetables, tasty, flavorful, appropriate portion size. And this salad fulfills all of those, right? So it's whole foods, right? Yay. Whole foods, minimize processing, no added sugar, except from the dressing, right? So the dressing is processed and it has probably has some sugar in it. Lean protein, so nuts, healthy fats, got the nuts. I got some cheese in there too, so that's a little processed. Portion size, yeah, I think that's appropriate. I did like half a handful of nuts, by the way, that's on there. It's tasty because I've had it before and I know it's tasty and flavorful. And what was yeah, so it fulfills everything. Now, what it doesn't fulfill for me, and which is why I also have the steak over here, is I don't think this has enough protein. So if so when you're talking about protein, people say, oh, I ate something that has protein. Yes, that's good, but you have to have enough protein. And so for me right now, if you've been following us on our strength, strategy, and mindset, I've been doing weightlifting. We do that sometimes twice a day, at least once a day, but sometimes twice a day, depending on if my son is if it's one of the days where I'm working out with my son. And so I need protein. And so I am trying to eat about 1.2, almost 1.5 grams of protein per kilogram is what I'm trying to do. Okay? And so that's why I'm eating this. Or even last week when you saw I ate some chicken or whatever it was. So that is what we're doing when we're ending our meal. What I want to do is I want to hop over and take a look at what blood sugars looked like when I ended the fast last week. So you can see what those numbers were like. And let's see. So here we are. And so when we ended the fast last week, right here, blood sugar was about 114. And you saw what I ate. If you didn't, go ahead and watch that episode. There was a salad in there, right? I had some chicken in there as well. And did I have fish? I don't remember. But let's take a look at blood sugars, right? So here's my blood sugar. And so we're going out now. Let's see. So started at 12. So 1 hour out, we're 108. 2 hours out, we're 108. 3 hours out, we're 107. 5 hours out, 132. 134, 6 hours out, 7 hours out, 150. And so So take a look at that blood sugar, right? So the blood sugar, it went up to about 150, and we usually say if your blood sugar is within 40 points of where you started, then you've done a good job with that meal. So not significant spiking. If I go to, and let me back up a little bit, see where is that thing? Way down here. There we go. So if we go now, so that was Friday, and then here I'm not sure what happened to that that monitor. 126 at the end of the next day, and then we started eating semi. And this was one of those days where I didn't do one meal a day, right? This was kind of eating with the family, and we were doing some stuff, and you see it went up there to about 170, 150, 160, 130s, 120s, 140s, and kind of stayed in the 120s, 130s, and that kind of remained, right, going into the next day, down into the 120s, 1-teens. And here's where I started doing my one meal a day again. So, right, so 130s, 120s, and then of course here it spiked up. I'm not sure I'm trying to remember what I ate there. Was that birthday cake? Yeah, that was birthday cake. Remember, we had birthday cake, someone in my office, and then back down to the 130s. So that is what we want when we talk about about the foods that we're eating after fasting. We want foods that are not going to cause significant rises, significant spikes in blood sugar, because if we have those spikes in the blood sugar, then of course what has to come out? Insulin has to come out. When insulin comes out, insulin will spike up your, blood sugar goes up, insulin has to go up, and insulin will stimulate your appetite. And so for the next 24, 36 hours, what you're doing is you're chasing that blood sugar and you're chasing those cravings. Okay? All right. So let's take a look at some tips that I want you to have. This is about breaking the fast. So we want to make sure that we are monitoring blood sugars. If you've not done so, if you've been following us, even if you're not diabetic, go to the store, get a glucose monitor, and begin monitoring your blood sugar. If you're fasting with us, even better, get one of the monitors that also gives you ketones, that allows you to check ketones, okay? Monitoring is important. I love the continuous monitors. There are some, at least one right now, over-the-counter one that you can purchase without a prescription, or if you are diabetic, get to your doctor and say, hey, I want to get one of these. And sometimes people will say it's I don't want anything attached to me. Lots of reasons why people don't want them. I can't tell you how beneficial this is to me, right? And I wear, let's take a look at it. Yeah. So I wear two of them. I've got one on this side and I've got one on this side. I don't know if you can see that. Well, you can't see either, but that's okay. So I've got one on this side, I've got one on the other. So I wear a Dexcom, I've got a Libre. And I can't tell you how beneficial they are to me, because they help me to regulate my blood sugar. They inform me, right? They inform what I do. And so you want to monitor. Number two, portion control. Make sure that you are eating the right portions. Sometimes it's not that we are eating the wrong thing, it's we're eating too much of the thing. We've gotten used to these big, gigantic portions. Number three, eat slowly. It takes about 20 minutes for the signal to get from your stomach to your brain that you are full. And often, if you're eating, I'm going to start eating here in a minute because this is getting cold. Then you've already out-eaten the time, and so you end up eating a lot more than you would have had you taken your time. Right? They tell us to chew our food for lots of different reasons, but that's probably one of the reasons to chew your food. And then avoid sugary, highly processed foods. This is so important, because the processing, the sugary stuff that we have, they have the ability to stimulate our appetite. And you don't want to undo all the benefits that you did at the end of the fast, when you break the fast, because you went and ate some stuff that really spiked that appetite up. Make sure you're hydrated. Make sure you're getting good protein, and we will kind of walk through the protein protein information here, and make sure you're getting some healthy fats. Now, one of the things that I did want to put on here was avocado, and I forgot to put it on, but that's okay. We've got nuts and all the other things that are on there. And make sure that you are hydrated. You can use broths, right? Chicken broth, vegetable broth, for those of you who are vegetarian or vegan. Bone broth. We have one of our community members that I think I saw in the chat there a minute ago who gave us a great recipe several months ago about how to make some good bone broth. And then here are some considerations for breaking the fast. When you break the fast, you want to choose foods that maintain stable blood glucose levels, right? So we want to make sure that we're doing that. We want to choose foods that have low glycemic index. We want to choose foods that don't cause a big problem for our stomach. Because remember, you've been fasting and your stomach right now is asleep, essentially. And if you all of a sudden just start putting stuff in there, a 4-course, 7-course meal, then you can have trouble. People get bloated, they feel fatigued, they have increased frequency, right? They're running to the restroom all the time. You want to focus on low glycemic index foods. And remember, those are glycemic index that are 50 or less. Lean proteins, healthy fats, and then of course making sure that you're getting good hydration. Those are all important. And so what I want to do now is I'm going to go ahead and we're going to start eating a little bit of this. And let's get over here. Actually, let's do this so you can see again. So remember, I've got the salad and I've got the steak. So let's go ahead. I'm gonna grab some of this salad. Delicious. How good does food taste after you've been fasting for 72 hours? Right? Very, very good. Okay, so that's breaking the fast. Let's go way back and let's talk now about how we prepare for the fast. What are some of those things that we need to pay attention to? And then what's going on in our body during the fast. So why is preparing for the fast important? Because how you prepare for the fast dictates, in large part, what happens during the fast. When I talk about fasting, I kind of break fasting into 3 components. 1, how do we prepare for the fast? 2, how do we get through the fast and what's going on in my body? And then, of course, how do we break the fast? All 3 are as important as each other. Because if we don't prepare for the fast well, we don't have a good experience during the fast. If we don't have a good experience during the fast and we don't get the benefits, then we like, okay, that doesn't work. And then, of course, if we don't end the fast well, then we reverse a lot of the benefits that we get during the fast. And we don't want to do that. The time that you're putting in, you don't want to undo it because of a choice that you made. So if you say you fasted 72 hours, you don't want to undo that because of a choice you made at 74 hours. Right? So each component is just as important as the next. And so the way we fast is very important. So how you prepare is very important. We want to prepare in lots of different ways. And you'll see there physically, mentally, and emotionally. When I do my check-in, I talk about how I'm feeling physically, mentally, and emotionally. When we talked about the domains of health, we talked about how we were doing physically, mentally, and emotionally. Of course, we had the other 5 pillars or other 5 domains. But how we're doing physically, mentally, emotionally is immensely important when we talk about fasting. So let's walk through those. So physically, how you come into the fast physically has a direct effect on how successful the fast is going to be. If you are not rested, if you're tired, when you come into the fast, then that fast does not go well. And if the fast doesn't go well, then people have all kinds of thoughts about fasting. Fasting doesn't work, and they don't get back to this. But this fasting is a fascinating tool. It is an amazing tool. And so it can work for every person on the planet. There are some people who, for medical reasons, we've said, hey, make sure that you are talking to everybody should talk to the healthcare provider, first of all. Let me say that. Everybody should talk to the healthcare provider. But those people in particular should have some extensive conversations with their healthcare provider, because they have some specific reasons why they may not be able to fast at the time. For example, pregnant women shouldn't fast. Why? Because they're growing a baby. People who are nursing shouldn't fast. Why? Because they are nursing a baby. People who've had dysfunctional food eating, right? Food disorders, eating disorders, they should talk to their healthcare provider, because it could be triggering. Some people have certain medications that they take that they've been told it requires you to eat. Well, talk to your healthcare provider, get some more information about that. Is there a different way to do that medication? But unless you fall into any of those types of categories, everybody else should be able to fast. It's free. It does an amazing job of getting our metabolism better. It resets everything. You can do it at any time. Right now, you can say, you know what, I'm going to start fasting right now. Now, I wouldn't recommend that, right? Because the whole idea of preparing. But you get the idea. We can fast. And so what we want to do is we want to prepare for the fast. So physically, if we are not doing well, if we come into the fast and we don't do a good job of resting, if we don't do a good job of hydration, then our bodies physically are not where they need to be to fast. If we're not doing a good job of eating, right? We're not eating balanced meals. We're eating highly processed, high sugary foods. When we get into the fast, we may have some deficiency. Minerals, vitamins, all of those things can be deficient if you're not eating a balanced meal. So when you get into the fast now, you have some cravings or you have some difficulty in the fast because of what has been going on out there. The food that you eat has a direct effect on your blood sugar. And if that blood sugar is changing, or if that blood sugar rises, then your body has to produce insulin, or you have to take insulin if you are on insulin shots, or you have to take medication that produces insulin in your body. And as a result, for the next whatever number of hours, we're craving stuff. So physically very, very important. And then mentally. So fasting is not just, okay, I'm not eating. I'm not eating is part of it, because you're abstaining from food. But fasting mentally has some profound things that you want to consider. What you want to think about is, well, why am I fasting? Remember rhythm, alignment, and structure. What's the reason I'm doing this? Am I doing this for weight issues? Am I doing this because I've got to go have surgery and my doctor says I can't do it because of my weight? Am I doing this because I'm trying to reverse my diabetes? Am I doing this because I'm trying to, and I'm going through each of these, but all of these we could just simply say, getting my metabolism better. Some people fast for spiritual reasons because they want to get their minds clear. Right, we talk about the metabolic stuff, but there are all these social, personal, interpersonal, relational, emotional things that come, or benefits that come from fasting as well. We could easily start another channel on how fasting affects emotions, and that's all we would talk about. For the every show, we would do that. That's how powerful this is. So mentally, you want to prepare. Why am I doing this? And when things happen in the fast, what are the tools that I'm going to use to get through them? How am I going to deal with that situation? Because I don't have food anymore. I'm now relying on my ability, my thought process to do that. Now, here's a perfect place for us to talk a little bit about our mental mastery. So mental mastery is the idea that everything that we do stems from our understanding and from our concept of the world. And mental mastery says that I am going to understand myself, understand my relationship with the world, right? Emotional intelligence. Understand my relationship to the world, and I'm going to do everything I possibly can do to set myself up for success by developing tools, by developing resilience, by developing emotional intelligence, so that the world no longer pushes me in a direction that I don't want to go. I am mastering my thought process. Because if I can do that, I am now in charge. It's kind of like the fasting talk conversation that we had, where I'm going out to dinner and I chose not to fast. And it was not a friction. It was not a point of contention. That's what I chose. But if we have not mastered those, then there's always this fight back and forth. I should, I don't want to, I'm going to, man, what if I get there and everybody's eating? I don't want to, right? That is something that we can deal with. And all that comes from the mental aspect of our lives. This allows us, when we prepare mentally, it allows us to envision the benefit. Why am I doing this? Okay, man, when I'm out, and right now we're doing our strength, strategy, and mindset series. When I'm out there and I'm lifting, and as I get to the, we're doing 3 sets of 8 or whatever it is, and I'm on that last set, the last 2 reps, and the muscles are burning, right? There's that friction, time under tension. And I think, okay, I can stop right now. My brain's telling me I can stop. Well, my body's telling me I can stop. But my brain says, you know what? These next 2 reps may be the very 2 reps that causes that muscle right there to be cut. Or that muscle right there, right? And so what do? Right? Because now I have motivation. Because I'm working on my beach body. And what do? You push through. Why do you push through? Because you've envisioned the benefit that's going on in your body. That all comes as we are as we're preparing for the fast. And then, of course, emotionally, this one becomes hyper important because our behavior is driven by feelings that come from the emotions. Remember, nothing that happens, nothing anybody says, or no situation really has an effect until we've attached meaning to it. Somebody says something, quote unquote, mean to you, or some words to you. What they've said is they said words. Those words have no effect on you. Well, I shouldn't say that. They have an effect because they have meaning. That's why they have an effect. But if you did not attach meaning to that, it's like, okay, you said some words. What does that have to do with me? But when we attach meaning to the behavior or to the activity or the thing that happened, then we get an emotion from it. The emotion causes a feeling. The feeling drives our action or behavior. The behavior drives our action, and the action gives us the result. So if I'm always putting on weight, what is the backstory of the weight? What is the thing that happened? What was the meaning I attached to it? What was the emotion that came from that and the feeling that came from that then drove the behavior that drives the action that now causes me to put on weight? Now, we think it was the food that we ate right here that causes the weight, but if we trace it back, it was actually that thing that happened over there. And when we're fasting forces us to have to deal with that on our own. So preparing for that, understanding what are some of the triggers that are going to happen. You know, as you go through the week, okay, you're about to have this meeting, you're about to have this conversation, or there's this thing going on in the family, or this person is sick, whatever it is. What are you putting in place to be able to handle those? Because when you get into the fast, if I've not figured that out, then the fast does not go well, and I end up breaking the fast, and I feel bad because I broke the fast. Oh, you could never do it. You can't do that. Oh, you start things and you never finish. Look at you. You couldn't even get through 24 hours. That's what we talk to ourselves. That's the inner critic, by the way. Okay? Physically, mentally, and emotionally. We want to make sure that we're preparing. The food that you eat coming into the fast, very, very important. Hydration, very important. And when we are preparing for the fast, this sets the tone for what's about to happen as we move into the first hours of the fast. If we don't do a good job of preparing, those first hours of the fast can be very difficult. So here's some takeaways. You want to prepare. Preparation is key. Number one, preparation is key. You want to prepare mentally. And the reason I put mentally there, because this week, of course, we're talking about mental mastery. All the other things come from here. If we get this right, then the physical things that we do and the emotional space that we're in all fall into place. You want to make sure you're getting good rest. Eat nutrient-dense foods, not calorie-dense foods, and you want to get into community. I cannot stress community enough. It's one of the three of the triple E formula for success, right? Educate, empower, and encourage, and that encouragement comes from community. So you want to make sure that you are doing what you need to do to be successful in the fast. And then I talk about fasting, as I said, in several ways, but then the next one is what's going on in the body, right? So how do we get through the fast, and what does that look like? Actually, let me go back here for a second. Right. So when I talk about fast, I also break it up into 24-hour blocks. We'll talk about it a little bit more finely than that, because it's very instructive to know what's going on in your body as you're moving through the fast. So the first hours of our fast really aren't fasting. They're called the postprandial period. And this is the body is taking the food and it is shuffling it and putting it into the right places. It's kind of like you go into the grocery store, you come home with a bunch of stuff, and you're emptying the car, and you come into the house and you put this in the bathroom, put this in the refrigerator, put this on the counter because you're going to cook it, put this in the pantry, put this in the freezer, right? What you're doing is you're sorting the food. And the body does exactly the same thing. You eat, and the food that you eat has proteins, has carbs, it has fats, it has minerals, vitamins, water, fiber, all that stuff. And the body is now breaking all that down and deciding where it goes. In the middle of all of that, there is a very important hormone called insulin that is sitting there. And insulin is directing what goes on with the food. Okay, you go to the heart because the heart needs some energy. You go to the brain because the brain's thinking right now. You go to the stomach because we're still digesting. You go to the lungs because the lungs we're breathing right now. But we already have enough energy out here, so you go to the liver and get stored. Oh, the liver's full? Okay, now let me package you, put you in a fat cell, put you through the bloodstream, and you go sit out in the fat cells. That's what's going on in the postprandial period. Blood sugars are high, insulin levels are just high. Blood sugars are up, insulin is up. People feel energetic because they got that ready that ready source of immediate sugar, right? So that's why sugar can be so addictive, right? Because you get that big burst. Oh yeah, it's great. But then what happens, right? As soon as it goes in, it starts to go down. Why? Because insulin comes out, and insulin says, I don't want the sugar to be high. And so that dip that we feel with blood sugar going down is because it spiked up so high, so now I've got to bring it down pretty low. And because insulin came out, now my appetite is stimulated. So I ate something, I got the energy, then my energy started to drop, and my appetite is stimulated. So now I'm tired, and I have a craving. Right? And then the next 6 hours, when we go from 6 to 12 hours, this is the early fasting stage, and the body now is taking all that food that we ate, and it has sent it off to where it needs to be stored, and now it's actually starting to get some out. So you came home from the grocery store, you put all this stuff up, and now you're getting ready to cook, and now you got to go back to the pantry and get something, go to the cabinet and get something, go to the refrigerator and get. What you're doing is you're pulling this stuff back out to use it. And that's what's going on in that early fasting stage following the postprandial period. And then once the body is able to use the blood sugars now are coming down because we're using it, we're sending it to different places. Insulin is starting to drop. Glucagon, which is the counter hormone to insulin, is now coming out, and this hormone is now saying, okay, the insulin is dropping. Let's start looking around. Where are we going to get some energy from? So we go to the liver and we start pulling that stuff out of the liver. And then we say, hey, now let's start looking at those fat cells. And let's start getting some of those out. And then we move from 18 to 16 hours and ketosis is beginning. The body has been burning fat, but now ketones are starting to pile up. And the ketones we like are the beta hydroxybutyrate. This is where glycogen is starts the process, or glucagon, starts the process of getting all of that stuff out of the liver. Now we have beta oxidation going on, burning the fat. And this is what we want. And the body becomes adapted to fat, for using fat as energy. It takes about 24 to 36 hours for the food that you ate, the carbs that are in the liver, to go away. So people sometimes will say to me, oh, I haven't eaten for 2 hours, 12 hours, 24 hours, and my blood sugars are still high. And I'm like, yep, that makes sense. Okay? But that is what goes on. So preparing for the fast, what goes on in the body during the fast, and then, of course, breaking the fast, and you got to see what I'm using to break my fast. If you are interested in righting your metabolism, if you are interested in reversing those disease processes, if you're interested in becoming healthy, losing weight, have better blood sugar, better cholesterol, better hypertension, better fatty liver, all of those things, you want to make sure that you are learning and using fasting as this amazing tool that it is. And if you do that, you will find that you get amazing benefits from the fasting. All right, so I see some of our community members out there. So let me go ahead and let's say hello to some of you. And then I'm going to start eating some food. I should say start eating, continue eating some food. All right, let's see who we got. We got Jennifer out there. Jennifer says, howdy, Doc. Hey, Jennifer, how are you? Thank you for coming through and hanging out with us. And then I see Bowie. She says, hi, everyone. Bowie says, I admit I would have caved after I heard someone calling fasting as awkward. Yeah. No, there was a twinge of, yeah, maybe she's right when I heard that, but yeah, I understand, and that's the thing, right? We are social creatures. We like to be social, and so anything that hints of interrupting that connection will cause us to give a second thought. Maybe I shouldn't do this right now, right? So good point. Jennifer says, enjoy eating. Hey, Jennifer, thanks for coming through and hanging out with us for a little bit. Cornelia says, hide. Oh, hi, Bowie and Jennifer. Yeah, she says, hi. Hi, Cornelia. Cornelia says, fasting blood sugar on Tuesday was 216, and today it was 126. My 3-day blood sugar average is 140. What? Cornelia. Good for you. I love that. Grace. Hey, Grace. How you doing? Grace says, hi, everyone. Cornelia says, hi, Grace. Bowie says, hi to Grace. I want to come back, Cornelia, and pop this up again. Because I want you guys to understand. Here's the power of community. Here's the power of community. There are people out there that don't think that they can get good blood sugars. There are people out there that say, well, the blood sugar is what it is. Like, I've had people come to the office and I say, oh, our normal blood sugar is between 70 and 99. We tell people 100 to 120. And they'll say to me, well, my normal is 200. Like, mine has never been lower than 200. It's always in the 220s, always in the 180s. And that's just the way it is. So for people to see that there are actually real people that are having benefit, when you tell your story, they're like, okay, I know Cornelia, and Cornelia, this is what happened to Cornelia. So thank you for sharing that, Cornelia. We really appreciate that. That's amazing. Okay, so if you have other questions, go ahead and pop those in the chat, because I'm gonna eat some food here. Oh. I'm gonna eat salad, but I can't wait to get to that steak, really, to be honest. All right. And I just realized I brought the wrong knife, but that's okay. We're gonna make it work. So Cornelia, I think you were fasting with us. What did you break your fast with? Well, before that, for everyone who's out there, if you fasted, go ahead and drop either 1 if you fasted on day 1, 2 for day 2, 3 for day 3, and if you did the total fast, put a T. I'm gonna put a T. And if you didn't fast this week, and you are planning to fast, either next week or it is in your, I should say, I'm going to say in your future, but no, next week, put a P. P for planning. And then join us. Join us next week. This is so good. Thank you, Pam. And then Cornelia, I was about to ask you, what did you break your fast with? Delicious salad, delicious. That grilled romaine, or charred romaine, I think is what they call it. Oh, that was delicious. Might have to try that. Cornelia says she's gonna break it with mixed nuts. And she did a 72-hour with us. Yeah, come on through. Come on through. If you're out there, if you're interested in fasting, join the community. Join the community. We have people who join the community, they're watching, and finally they jump in and they start fasting and they see amazing results. I can't tell you the number of people around me who may not be doing a 72-hour fast, but they're doing some kind of fasting now. They're doing 16/8, they're doing alternate day fasting. They're doing 1 meal a day. Delicious. Quenya says she's planning to try Pam salad this weekend. It's delicious. All right, let's go ahead and I'm gonna. And of course now the steak is cold, so well, not cold, but let's see what we got. So it's broccoli. Did I chew that 32 times? I don't think so. That is good. Very tender. But I should have had them take the gravy off. Like I said, I didn't realize it had it. Don't usually like my steaks with stuff on it. So if you have a suggestion for me to eat either my last meal before fasting on Tuesdays or my first meal after fasting, go ahead and drop that in the chat or send me an email. Dwood at DwainWoodeMD.com. I think several weeks ago, Gion sent in a recommendation, so I did that. And then now Pam's salad. Now remember, make sure that what you're recommending fits into the balanced bites. Because even though you may put ice cream, and I want to have the ice cream, it's probably not what I would start the fast with or break the fast with. Somewhere in between. So don't get me wrong. It's not that I'm saying don't send me ice cream because I'm not going to eat ice cream. I will eat ice cream, but not as my first meal and not as my last meal. Yeah, sometimes I say that people say, "Oh, he's not going to eat ice cream." Yes, I will. I'll eat ice cream. I'll eat Cadbury chocolates. I'll eat some other stuff too. Why? Because I like it. All right. So I'm going to continue eating this offline. But it's so good. So good. All right. So I want you to remember, as we're talking through this process, the process of writing metabolism, that all that we do is based on our triple E formula for success. Right? We educate, we empower, and we encourage. Let me put this down. We educate, we empower, and we encourage. We educate with the podcast, we educate with the blogs, we educate with the show that we're on right now. We empower with the tools that we learn. Excuse me. And we encourage with the community. The triple E formula for success. What happens in education is that we expand our mind. We expand the idea of the options that are available to us. Because sometimes we have a fixed mindset that this is all that there is. But the education helps you to understand what's going on in your body, helps you to understand that you can make choices and you can have different outcomes based on the choices, based on the decisions, based on the consistency. That's the education. We're shifting, we're changing, we're looking at a different perspective, we're coming up with different ideas. We empower, because education by itself is not very useful. Education with movement, with power. That's why the health action plan is called the health action plan. Because it becomes powerful with our behavior, with the infusion of our behavior. And the tools that we're learning, the Limitless Living Health Action Plan, Balanced Bites, the HEAT model, the COPE model, how to create a menu, emotional intelligence. All of those are tools that we use to implement the things we're learning. And then we encourage the community that we are in. The community is so, so important. The community is amazing. The community drives. The community supports. The community pulls. The community lifts. We educate, we empower, and we encourage. And remember what Limitless Living says. Right? Limitless Living says that I'm not allowing anything from outside or anything from inside to prevent me from doing what I need to do. I'm presenting my best self, my best health, and my best plans. And because we're in community, when I get better, I have to now turn around and help the community get better. So as you're seeing improvements in yourself, don't keep it to yourself. Say to somebody in your circle that you know is struggling, that there's a different way. Otherwise, we keep having heart attacks, we keep having strokes, we keep going on dialysis, we keep going blind, we keep losing limbs, we keep having high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and it goes on and on and on. There are over 1 billion people right now on the planet with prediabetes or diabetes. We're spending trillions of dollars in healthcare, and it doesn't seem to be stopping. It just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. You can be a voice that says, we don't have to keep doing this, family. We're losing too many of us. Let's try something different. That's what Limitless Living says. That I'm going to do whatever I can to be in a place where I'm breaking free from boundaries, I'm breaking free from obstacles, and I'm going to be successful. We will come back, and as we move through the rest of the week, and getting ready for next week, we've got a video from the vault tomorrow night at 9 p.m. right here on the channel. On Sunday morning, This Week in Review at 6 a.m. Central. And then on next week, we'll be back for Dwain Woode MD Live as we continue our walk through the Health Action Plan. Now, next week, we're going to have a little bit of a change in our schedule in terms of the time. We've got a conference going on here in town that I am going to be involved with. And so we'll have to let you know what that, I actually don't even know what the total schedule is right now for the conference. But we'll let you know for the other shows that we do through the week. Right, Monday, we will do our show like we normally do at 7 p.m. Right here on the channel. Okay? All right. I'm always excited. I'm always glad when I'm here. This has been a good week for me. Not that other weeks are bad week, but this week has just seemed just brighter. I think everything for me, as I've walked through Limitless Living, as I'm implementing, as I'm thinking in Limitless Living, right? As I'm thinking, I'm like, okay, what does this look like today? What does Limitless Living look like right now in this situation? And by applying that, not just to my health, but just across the board, life seems lighter. It seems more pleasant. I'm excited for it. And that's what I want for you as well. Hey, this is Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. We're creating the life we've always wanted, and we are living limitless lives, which says that we're not constrained to any boundary. We are breaking free from those obstacles. We're getting out of those constraints, and we're pushing through the things that may pop up that prevent us from going where we need to go, that seem to prevent us. We're presenting our best self, our best health, and our best plans for our lives, and we are living limitless lives. Have a great one. We'll see you at our next show. We'll see you throughout the weekend. For community members, you'll see some stuff popping up out there for you. And if you're not part of our community, make sure you hit the button down there somewhere that says join, right, and become part of this amazing community that we are building. Have a great one. Live a limitless life, and we'll see you at our next show.